Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is really fun because I am going to be doing a little get ready with me / haul showing you all the things that I purchased while I was in the UK. So if you're not following me on Instagram or TikTok, which by the way I always have both of those accounts linked in the down bar, you might not have seen that I have been in England for the past week or so and I picked up quite a few makeup items that I was really excited about, and I thought it would be fun to just sit down and get ready with you while I use some of them and I can give you my first impressions along the way. So I basically purchased 2 eyeshadow palettes, 2 cheek related products, and a few lip products. So I was thinking what I would do is do one kind of full look today and then come back tomorrow and use the rest of the products that I hadn't shown yet, so that you're kind of getting 2 looks and I'm able to show you me getting ready with all of the products in one video. I hope that makes sense. But let's zoom in and get started. Okay, so let's start with the eyes. So I primed my eyes using my Ulta Beauty matte eye primer and set with my Pat McGrath under eye blurring setting powder as usual. And the palette that I'm going to use today is one that I actually picked up in Boots. It's from XX Revolution and it's called the Exposed palette. I believe this is supposed to be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk quad. The packaging is really cute. It's kind of like this charcoal gray color and it's like textured on the front, so it looks very Art Deco. It actually reminds me a lot of another brand's packaging that I'm going to be showing you later in the video. And then when you open it up, it's got a nice big mirror and really big pans of eyeshadow. And if you have the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk quad, you'll probably see right away that it does look pretty close. I actually had the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk quad and I ended up decluttering it to a friend because even though I am obviously very pale, I couldn't get the shades to show up on me. So I gave that palette to a friend that is maybe a touch fairer than I am, but I still really liked the idea of that quad and I liked the color story. I just could never really get it to work for me. So my sense is that these shadows might be a touch more pigmented and have a touch more impact than the Charlotte Tilbury ones, which would be great. So I'm gonna start with the shade number 2, which is the kind of neutral pinky shade, and I'm gonna put that all through the crease. This is actually a new brush as well. It's from Toy Factory. When I got home, I had quite a few exciting packages waiting for me, so let me know if you'd like to see a trying new makeup video, because I can film that next. But this brush was in one of those packages and it's very soft. And so far, just a really nice fluffy blending brush. Right off the bat, I can already see that these shadows build better than the Charlotte Tilbury ones. The equivalent to this shade in that quad, the Charlotte Tilbury quad, basically looked like nothing on me. It just blended right into my skin tone and I can definitely see the shade in this palette on my skin a lot better. Let's take a slightly smaller brush. This is a Spectrum in KJH 12 brush. It's a little bit more dense. And I'm gonna go into the shade number 4, I guess it is, the kind of chocolatey brown shade. And I'm gonna see if I can build this up on the outer corner. It's not like this color story is supposed to be super dramatic or anything. It's obviously supposed to be quite an everyday palette, but for the price of the Charlotte Tilbury quads, I don't know, I just felt like there was a really small sector of the population that was gonna work for, and I feel like this XX Revolution quad, 1, it's more affordable, and 2, at least so far, the shadows seem to be showing up a bit better. Just go back in with my blending brush to blend those 2 together. And I'm actually gonna see if I can build that up even a touch more just right at the lash line too. This is the first product that I'm trying from XX Revolution. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that they're owned by Makeup Revolution, whose products I've tried. But every time I went into a like drugstore equivalent store there, XX Revolution had its own like case or display. So they're very much like a separate brand with separate products, and a lot of their products looked nice. I don't know enough about their range of products to know what's good, but I had heard about this palette and I knew that it was completely sold out in the US, or at least really, really difficult to find. I know it had been stocked on Beauty Bay, but every time I had checked, it had been sold out. So I was really excited to pick this up while I was there. I feel like this is looking really nice. Still subtle, but more pigment with more buildability. And the formula of the eyeshadows just seems a little bit smoother and, I don't know, just better. Let me know if you have a Charlotte Tilbury quad that you really like. I wonder if some of her quads are more pigmented than others. Okay, that's looking good. So I'm just gonna take that brown shade again on the same brush and run it underneath my lower lash line. So I was in Oxford. I was on the southwest coast of England, and I was also in London. So I feel like I covered a lot of ground in what was a pretty short trip, but I absolutely loved my time there. When I first got there, it was really, really hot. It was like, in Fahrenheit, it was like 85 degrees. But it definitely cooled down the longer I stayed. I love traveling to England so much. It's one of my favorite places I've ever been, and this was actually my 4th time going, but I hadn't been since starting my YouTube channel and my Instagram makeup account. So this trip I was very much excited to pick up some makeup that's a little bit harder to find in the US. All right, so one final blend around these edges, and now it's time for some shimmer. So I'm gonna go in with a flat brush, and the shade here, I think it's shade number 1. So far, I've only used the mattes in this palette, and there are 2 kind of shimmer formulas. This one's like more of like a classic shimmer, and the other, the gold, which I'm also gonna use, is definitely more like a chunky, piecey, glittery kind of a shade. So I'm just gonna take this light pink champagne right in the inner corner. Oh, that's really pretty. I think I'm actually gonna pull it in a little bit onto my lid, just a tad. This one does remind me of the one in the Charlotte Tilbury quad, which was actually my favorite shade in the quad because it was the, the only one that I could get to work for me. The mattes, as I said, were pretty much undetectable on my eyes. They just looked like my skin color. And then the equivalent to this like glittery shade pretty much immediately got hard pan and was really difficult to get onto my eyes. So that quad just did not work out for me, but this one seems to be working a lot better so far. Okay, and then with my finger, no glitter glue or anything, because I just kind of want to see how it works on its own. I'm gonna go in with the gold piecey glittery shade and press that across the lid. I think this shade might be a touch more warm than the one in the Charlotte Tilbury quad. A little bit more like of a true yellow gold. But wow, that is really, really pretty. And I can actually see it on my lids, so that's a win. I love how you can make it saturated like I've done closest to my lash line, but then you can also just kind of have a scattered glitter effect as I'm just kind of tapping it up towards my brow bone with less product on my finger. That is really, really pretty. Let's do the same thing on the other side. It seems like you can really get this to build as well, which is awesome. I'm gonna see if I can take that inner corner shade on my finger and make it pop a little bit more. Maybe. Just blend that out with my blending brush. Okay, I think this is really pretty. It definitely captures the spirit of the Pillow Talk quad, which was always supposed to be like quite a neutral, everyday with a little hint of glitter to it kind of a look. So I think XX Revolution has definitely done that with this quad, but they've amped it up just that little bit more to where I actually feel like it's worth paying for, and the fact that this is so cheap makes it 100% worth it. I actually can't remember exactly how much I paid for it. Let me go see how much it goes for online. Okay, on Beauty Bay, they have this for $11.75. It does say it's still out of stock, but maybe something to check on the Beauty Bay website to see if it comes back. So that's really quite affordable. I think XX Revolution is also one of those brands that probably runs sales, and especially if you live in the UK or in Europe, somewhere where XX Revolution is a little bit more widely available, I bet you would have a pretty easy time finding this quad in your local kind of chemist or drugstore kind of store. But yeah, definitely one that I feel like I'm going to be able to get a ton of use out of for every day and for days like today where I might be wearing a little bit more color on my lips and I want something on the eyes, but I want it to still be a little bit subtle and just pretty. So let me go add some mascara and then I'll come back and we will do blush. Actually, while I'm doing mascara, I might as well tell you, I'm using the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes, which I'm still sort of testing. I'm not sure if I love it. I got back not yesterday, but the day before, and I am still feeling the effects of jet lag. I feel like jet lag is just, it's gotten worse as I've gotten older for sure. Oops, perfect. But the other thing is that my skin just completely lost it when I was traveling. Like, I'm sure you can probably see the remnants of texture and breakouts. Gosh, my skin did not know what to do. I guess it was a change of climate because it was pretty, like I said, hot when I got to England, but it was also a lot more humid than I'm used to, and my skin just went a little bit bonkers. Now I feel like the breakouts are finally calming down, but it just looks really dull. So I'm really looking forward to trying this blush out in a minute because I feel like my face could use some color for sure. The mascara is okay. It's very natural, which is not my absolute favorite. If you haven't noticed, do like a more dramatic lash. This has been sitting in my back stock of mascaras for a while, so right before I left, I opened it and decided to give it a try. All right, let's lift this face up with some blush. So one of the days that I was in London, I made a trip to Selfridges on Oxford Street. I had sort of been on a little bit of a no-buy for the months leading up to this trip because I knew when I went to the UK that I was going to want to purchase some really, really nice makeup products. So I was anticipating this trip to Selfridges and I purchased the Suq blush in the shade 139. So this is a Charlotte Holdcroft recommendation. She absolutely loves this blush. I think she's not the only one. I've heard from quite a few people on Instagram that they love this blush, and also the shop assistant, the makeup artist at the Suq counter in Selfridges, said how much she loves the blush. I've swatched it just to kind of get a sense of what it looks like, and it looks like it has some really, 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 really fine shimmer particles in it. Granted, it doesn't look like much in the pan. It just sort of looks like a nothingy neutral color, but I'm thinking that that's actually going to be really, really pretty on the cheeks, especially with a brighter tone on the lips. So I'm going to take my Real Techniques, I think this is the blush and bronzer brush, I'm not sure, I've had it forever, and I'm just going to start applying. I don't have any highlight. Oh, wow. When I turn my face, you can really see that kind of almost sculpted my cheek. I was just saying I don't have any highlighter on aside from my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter underneath foundation. So if you see a glow, it could be that, but it also might be the blush. I'm gonna take it across my nose as well because it's sort of like almost like a bronzy tone. So I feel like you can kind of get away with it on the nose as a summery, sun-kissed moment. Sorry, I'm just taking my hair out of my clip because it's driving me a little bit up the wall. What do we think of the blush? I feel like it's really, in person, it's really subtle, but when I look into the viewfinder of the camera, it just looks snatched. Like it looks like it helped to sculpt my cheekbone out and give me a little bit of a flush to the cheeks. Put a little bit more just on the apples. The true test is going to be when I get this lip on because bright or deep lip colors tend to drain all of the color out of my face. So I'm wondering if I might need to add a little bit more even. But so far, so good. I think it looks really pretty. It's not flat matte on my skin, which makes it a little bit more flattering. It almost has like a blurring effect across my cheeks and all of my texture, as I mentioned. But the color is really, really nice. It just almost looks like a contour, a bronzer, and a little bit of blush all in one. Okay, I'm gonna wipe my lip oil off and let's get into the lip because this is super exciting. I'm actually gonna go over my lips with my foundation sponge just to make sure I've got a nice clean base to work with. And for lips, I am over the moon excited about this. In Selfridges, I visited the Lisa Eldridge counter. I have been watching Lisa's YouTube videos for so many years. I mean, way back in the early days of beauty YouTube, I have always just been so fascinated by her. I think she's a genius. Her eye for color and texture and depth is just amazing. I really, really admire her work and the looks that she does and the brand that she's built. I mean, seeing all of that in person was like a spiritual experience for me. I know that sounds dramatic, but if you get it, you get it. I held off on purchasing anything from Lisa Eldridge until I could actually go to the UK. Not really consciously, but I don't know. I just felt like it was going to be something really, really special to save for my next trip to the UK to purchase these products in person and swatch them and just have the full experience. And I'm glad that I did that because I had a really, really great experience at the counter. The makeup artists that worked there were so lovely and kind and helpful, and they also have been trained by Lisa, and so she kind of has imparted so much knowledge to them, and they were really smart when it came to things like color and undertones and all of that, and it was just the best. It was just the best. So now I am finally getting to put some of these products on my lips. I knew I wanted a red from Lisa. I wanted a really, really special, glamorous red lipstick. So I was debating between a few, and there's one that I may purchase at a later date, but I picked up Velvet Ribbon, and the makeup artist at the counter described this to me as a very classic Hollywood Marilyn Monroe red. I mean, can we take a minute for this packaging? Magnetizes shut, beautiful gold, very art deco, very golden age of Hollywood vibe to the packaging as well, which I absolutely love. And to go with that, I purchased the Enhance and Define lip pencil in the shade Duchess. Now they do have a corresponding lip pencil for every lipstick, or at least the velvet lipsticks, but I wanted a little bit of a deeper lip liner to just kind of add a bit more contour and depth to the edges of my lips. So I went for the next red down from Ribbon, which is Duchess. So let's go ahead and start lining. Super creamy and highly pigmented formula. That went on really, really easily. I wasn't using the point of the pencil, but sort of the side. And I felt like that was the easiest red lip liner application I have ever had, at least on the bottom lip. So fingers crossed for the top lip. Yeah, really, really easy. I'm gonna do a bit of shading on the outer corners. Again, that just felt really, really easy to use. So amazing. And now I'm gonna go in with the lipstick. Today is actually the 4th of July as I'm filming this. Happy 4th to all of my American viewers. So this is actually perfect timing for a red lip today. Wow, look at that color. That is so beautiful. Let me just take my lip liner and do a little bit of detail work around the edges here. That looks really beautiful on my lips. I feel like it's a very flattering formula, if that makes sense. It feels like a dream. It feels really light, but still somehow hydrated and not like my lips are immediately sucked dry of all moisture. I'll let you know what the makeup artist told me. So the shade Duchess that I have in the lip pencil, it's a little bit deeper than the shade Ribbon and it has a little bit more magenta to it. But magenta, of course, has a little bit of like a purpley blue behind it, and the shade Velvet Ribbon is a blue toned red, so they pair really nicely with each other. And they also make your teeth look super white. So the makeup artist I was working with, whose name I should have gotten because they were just lovely, but I was so flustered and overwhelmed that I couldn't even think while I was there. They said that a lot of people really, really like Velvet Ribbon for that reason, that it's really flattering on all different skin tones and it makes everybody's teeth look good and everybody's lips look good. And I agree. I feel like my teeth do look whiter and the skin on my lips look really nice. Like it's not sinking into my lip lines, but it's also not making my lips look really flat and matte and dry. So I feel like this is probably going to be my new go-to red. It might be a little early to say, but how could I not? I mean, that was like a dream. It was a dream to apply. I absolutely love the color. I feel like it's brightened up my face, which is exactly what I needed today. And it's just a classic, very classic red lip look, which I absolutely love. Here is the first look. So that is the XX Revolution Quad, the So Cute blush, which I actually don't think I need to touch up. I think that I've got plenty going on the cheeks to balance with the lips, and the Lisa Eldridge liner in Duchess with the lipstick in Velvet Ribbon. I've got a few more products I want to show you, but I will come back tomorrow and do a completely different look with the rest. So I will hand you off now to future Sarah. Okay, hello. If I'm looking a completely different skin tone from the last clip, it's because I self-tanned last night. I feel like that has the potential to be really jarring in the middle of the video, so I just figured I would say that. But I am back to show you the rest of the makeup that I purchased in England, starting with cheeks. So this actually worked out pretty well with my self-tan timing. I just kind of did it on a whim last night because I was feeling, actually while I was filming yesterday, I was feeling very pale. So I self-tanned last night and I feel like the self-tan is actually going to be perfect for the glowy goddess kind of vibes of my next product, which is from Charlotte Tilbury, and this is the Glowgasm Face Palette in the shade Lovegasm. I'm sure you've seen this one around. I'll try not to blind you with this reflective packaging, but it's quite corally and lots of gold shimmer running through. So I think with the heavy first day of self-tan, it might actually pair quite nicely. I don't actually have any powder bronzer on yet. I do have a little bit of cream bronzer on, So I think what I'm gonna start with is this shade here, which is shade number 4, Bronze. So starting with the bronze shade, I'm just gonna see how this applies with a smaller brush. To kind of give me some cheek dimension here. So I went to the Charlotte Tilbury flagship store in Covent Garden in London, and it was sort of a madhouse in there. Lots of like teenage girls, I would say, preteen and teenage girls, quite young, the clientele. And so I was sort of flustered because it's kind of a small store, and the employees seemed very busy, so I just sort of had to quickly kind of make a decision. And you can't, I mean, you can kind of swatch things, but there's like one product of each to swatch, and with a bunch of people in there, it was going to be, I don't know, I just wasn't prepared to fight a teenage girl to get up to see this palette and swatch it. So I just figured I would pick it up, get it home. So I felt like the chances were good that I was going to like this anyway. So yeah, that's how I ended up with this with this palette. It kind of clung to this area on my nose for some reason. Maybe just like a little dry patch, but overall I think that looks pretty nice. And I think that's a bronze color that will work for me when I'm not self-tanned as well, because it's pretty, if I just give you a swatch here, it's pretty neutral. Forgive the self-tan streakiness, but hopefully you can see there it's pretty light and neutral, which also kind of makes me think maybe this palette is not as inclusive as it could have been for many skin tones. I know that's been a criticism of Charlotte Tilbury's other face palettes in the past, but yeah, I feel like the bronze could have been deeper to match up with the deeper highlight and the deeper blush shade. I'm actually going to take the same brush and I'm going to go in with this shade on the bottom here, which is called the Pop Blush. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but it's very reflective. Let me actually swatch the one right on top of it. Okay, so the one right on top of it is called Multi Glow, and it's a tad deeper. So my middle finger is the Pop Blush, and my ring finger is the Multi Glow shade. Just swatch those on my hand quick. I feel like my lights are sort of washing that out. Let me see. Let me see if that's any better to kind of show you the true tones of those. So I was actually thinking the blush, what they call the blush shade in the palette, was going to be the deeper one, but it looks like the Multi Glow, and I'm not really sure what a Multi Glow is slightly deeper, which makes me think maybe I should go in with the Multi Glow first. Okay, so the top one is a glow blush, and then there's a pop blush. So I know in the regular Charlotte Tilbury blushes, are they called Swish and Pop, where there's like a shade in the middle and a shade around the outside? So I wonder if it's kind of like that idea, like you go in with a slightly deeper one, and then this one on the bottom, you just kind of pop on the apples. So maybe that's what I'll do. So I'm just gonna take the same brush and kind of dust it off and go in with that shade Multi Glow. And kind of take that along my whole cheek. Oh, wow. That looks really pretty in the viewfinder. I feel like it's really picking up the glow with my lights and everything. In person, I would say it looks a little bit more subtle. Let's try the other side. Wow, that's really pretty actually. It's like a nice kind of sunburn color. Definitely a corally pink. So now I'm gonna take the bottom Pop Blush shade and I'm just gonna pop that on the apples of my cheeks to see if it does anything. It looks like it might have added just a touch more pink in the center of my face. I'm gonna take that across my nose and actually up on my forehead as well to kind of mimic a sunburn. I don't know, you'll have to let me know your thoughts in the comments because I feel like what I'm seeing in the viewfinder might be slightly different from what I'm seeing in person, but in person, that looks really pretty. It's definitely got some glitter particles in there, so if you don't like sparkle in your blush, maybe this is not the blush for you, but it's not enough to where I feel like it's obnoxious or over the top. Especially like from afar, it just kind of looks soft and sort of airbrushed on my skin, which I think is really nice. To be safe though, if I was gonna wear this out and about somewhere, like especially to like the office or something, I would skip highlighter, which is the next thing that I'm gonna put on because I feel like it's plenty glowy enough without it. But just for the sake of this video and trying the palette out in full, I am gonna add some of this highlighter. It's this kind of gold shade here. It's gold, but it's not too yellow. I feel like it's still got a good amount of champagne to it, which will hopefully make it blend in with the skin really nicely. So again, I'm not really sure how well you can see that. I just turned my lights away so that hopefully you can see the glow a bit. But let's put some of this on my cheeks. With powder highlighters, a tip that I learned from Julia Adams is to kind of work them into the skin a little bit so that they don't sit right on top of the skin, but you sort of polish the pearls and make it look like part of the skin. So that's what I'm going to try to do here. I'm not sure, can you see the glow there? I feel like I do see it in person, but it's not as blinding as I even would have thought, which is actually a good thing. Okay, maybe this side is looking a little bit more blinding. It's definitely there, but I feel like if you kind of work it into the skin, it doesn't look too over the top. I don't know, you'll have to let me know what you're seeing in the camera because I feel like it's looking a lot more subtle in real life and a lot more kind of bright in the camera. Let me take a little bit and just do Cupid's bow, nose, maybe right under the brows as well. Pretty. I think this is one I'm gonna have to keep playing around with and also see how it works for me when I'm not as tanned as I am today, but so far so good. I think in terms of powders, I am pretty impressed with how smooth these are. They don't seem to be clinging to dry patches aside from the bronzer and this one little area on my nose. But for having so much kind of sparkle to them, they do look really, I mean, you can see the sparkle on my skin, but from afar, I feel like it would just kind of look like I have a really nice, glowy, sun-kissed tan and not like I just have glitter all over my cheeks, which is what I prefer out of those two options. Okay, I'm next gonna curl my eyelashes because the next product that I have to show you is an eyeshadow palette. And I have, same as yesterday, just primed my lids with the Ulta Matte Eyeshadow Primer and set with my Pat McGrath Under Eye Blurring Setting Powder. And the eyeshadow palette that I have to share with you today is another treasure from the Lisa Eldridge counter in Selfridges. I picked up the Myth palette, which is just the world's most beautiful, sophisticated purple palette. The makeup artist that was helping me was actually wearing this palette paired with another palette from Lisa Eldridge, which is currently sold out, but is apparently going to be restocked in August, called the Sorcery palette, which is more like greens, and there's even like a duochrome shade, which looks amazing. So I can't wait to get my hands on Sorcery as well. I don't know how well this is going to go with the blush look today, but I felt like for my eye color, it could be a really nice, beautiful, flattering way of wearing purples for a more sophisticated take on a purple look. I feel like we should do some swatches actually. So there's 6 shades in here. There's Velvet, Metallic, and Top Coat formulas. They are made in Italy, which is supposed to be like the creme de la creme of all of the locations where makeup is made. So let's do some swatches here. Okay, so we've got Nocturama, which is a velvet, Illusionism, which is a top coat. You can kind of see how sparkly and shimmery and reflective that is. And Mauve Decade, which is a velvet. It's quite cool toned actually. And then we've got Faded Amethyst, which is a metallic. Victorian Trim, which is a velvet. And Violet Stone, which is also a velvet. So all in all, it's actually a pretty cool tone palette with a few little hints of warmth, like that shade Victorian Trim, which is this sort of brighter purple on the bottom. I can definitely see a few looks coming out of this color story, many of which are pretty simple, just sort of one and done looks, but I think I'm just gonna try to go for it and use as many of these shades on my eyes as I can. I would like to use all of them, but we'll see if I'm able to do that. So I think I'm gonna start with that warmest shade, Victorian Trim, and I'm gonna put that through my crease. It's sort of like it blends out to kind of like a magenta shade, but I think it could obviously be built up quite a bit. It definitely looks pretty deep in the pan, but I like that you have the ability to do a sheer wash like this. And sheared out like this, it actually looks like one of the kind of magenta pink shades in the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. I love how smoothly this is applying and blending out. I would expect nothing less from Lisa Eldridge, but always good to be right about your assumptions of how an eyeshadow is going to perform. All right, now we've got a nice amount of warmth in the crease. I think we can start deepening up a little bit. I actually think I'm gonna go in with Mauve Decade because that one is also a velvet, so I'll try and do the mattes first. So I'm gonna take Mauve Decade on a slightly smaller but still fluffy brush and start putting this in the outer corner. And immediately it's starting to kind of cool things down slightly. It's sort of like a taupey, well, yeah, mauve. It's called Mauve Decade. Is it mauve or mauve? I never know. I feel like I might actually get to use all of the shades in this palette because so far they all seem to be able to be sheared out and also built up, which is perfect for creating nice dimension and gradient in an eye look. So Violet Stone, which is the shade that I was initially going to go in with before Mauve Decade, is actually a velvet as well. So I am going to take that shade and add even more depth to the outer corner. Wow, that is so pretty. That is a really, really pretty purple. It's very rich. I love the depth that that just added. Let me repeat on the other eye. Once again, just loving how buttery these are and how well they blend together. It's just very smooth, all of it. Okay, so now I'm gonna take Faded Amethyst, which is that metallic, and I'm gonna put that all over the lid. I'm not gonna use a glitter glue because I kind of just wanna see what we're working with here in terms of formula before I use a glitter glue. Again, this one's quite taupey. Oh, how gorgeous though. I feel like it really grounds the palette to make the purples almost a neutral. That's a really stunning smoky shade. Perfect twist on a classic gray smoky eye. I'm gonna go back in with the shade Violet Stone just to re-intensify that outer corner again. And then a little bit of that warmer purple Victorian Trim over the edge again, just to make sure we haven't lost it. I think I'm gonna take this deepest, almost black shade called Nocturama, which is another velvet. I wanna say it's a black, but let's see how it transfers on the eyes. I'm just gonna take a little pencil brush and give myself a little bit of a soft liner on the outer corner. Yeah, I think this is a black, sort of like a charcoaly type shade. Ooh, that looks really, really good. If I do say so myself. Just going full smoky today, but it's still soft. I feel like that just fits really naturally with the rest of the eye look, to have that really deep lash line. Okay, and then before I move to the lower lash line, I want to take this shade Illusionism, which is the top coat shade. I'm going to put that in the inner corner. I'm also going to tap that in the center of the lid. Gosh, I don't know if you're seeing that, but that is so pretty. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a really, really special shade. I'm just gonna put that everywhere. I feel like that all over a bare lid with just like a neutral brown in the crease for every day. Perfection. Okay, let's do the lower lash line. So I'm gonna take Nocturama, the black, back on my pencil brush and just go really, really close to the lash line with it. Not all the way over, but just kind of on the outer corner and meeting up with the outer corner on the top lid. And then to blend that out, I think I'm gonna take a little bit of Violet Stone and a little bit of Victorian Trim, just to make sure the whole look is really cohesive and blended. And then I have to do it. I have to take Illusionism and put a little bit of that on the lower lash line as well. So here is the eye look before mascara. Let me run and put some mascara on, and then I will be back to show you the finished eye look and to do a lip. Okay, I'm back with mascara on. It's the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes again today. And for my lip liner, I'm gonna go in with the other product that I picked up at the Charlotte Tilbury store. I purchased the Lip Cheat in the shade Iconic Nude. I have a couple of Charlotte Tilbury's lip liners and I tend to really like them, but I feel like I've been seeing this shade everywhere and so many people seem to love it, so I wanted to give it a try. It definitely seems a lot less pink than a lot of Charlotte's lip liners. I have Pillow Talk, which is very pink, and Pillow Talk Medium, which is a little bit more red, but this one seems a lot more cool toned, which I actually love. Oh, that is a really nice shade. It's giving me like Sophia Loren vibes. I love a cool toned lip on me, and that was actually what I was looking for when I was looking at lip products. So I purchased the Lisa Eldridge Luxuriously Lucent lipstick in the shade Painterly, which looks like it's going to be kind of a deep berry, but is actually quite sheer. And it looks more of like a neutral kind of rosy shade. I feel like that might go with this look today, but the other one I purchased was also while in Covent Garden. I went into Space NK and looked at all of the Vive stuff, and I picked up one of the new satin slip lipsticks in the shade Deep Love, which honestly looks like it's going to be pretty similar to Painterly from Lisa Eldridge. It's kind of like the more pigmented version of Painterly, but they're very similar in tone. They're both sort of like that neutral rosy mauve kind of a color. So I think what I'll do is I'll try Painterly on, and then I'll try Deep Love on from Vive, so you can see both of them. So this is Painterly from Lisa Eldridge. The Luxuriously Lucent formula is supposed to be really sheer, and I love this. It feels like nothing on my lips. It's very, very lightweight. I feel like the shade is actually really pretty. It's got some pigment to it, so it's not like you're just spending money on what is essentially a clear lip balm. But I feel like it's very flattering on the lips and kind of smoothing, just like the lipstick I wore yesterday was, even though they're different formulas. And certainly one that would be very comfortable to wear just day to day and to reapply. I love that shade. It's so pretty. It's like the perfect neutral, rosy, my lips, but amped up a little kind of a shade for me. Let me just take that one off and then we'll try the V. I feel like some of the lip liner came off as well, so I'm just gonna touch that up. I'm like obsessed with this lip liner shade. It's the perfect cool nude. So I feel like I definitely get the hype on that one. If you're looking for a cooler nude that doesn't have a ton of orange or pink to it, I think you would really like Iconic Nude. Now let's go in with the Vive Satin Slip Lipstick. I was hoping they were gonna have the new Vive cream bronzers as well, but I guess they hadn't gotten them in yet because that launched like right before I went over there. So I was happy to see that they had this launch, and actually like 3 of the shades in this launch I was carrying around with me debating whether or not to pick all 3 of them up because the shades in this launch just looked so nice. There was one, I think the lightest shade was quite peachy and a little bit too orangey for my taste, but the other 3 all had a little bit of a cooler tone to them that I feel like would be perfect for my preferences. I do like a more cool tone, kind of mauvey undertone to my lip products. But I settled on the shade Deep Love because I felt like it would be different from all of the other lip products that I have in my collection. And I figured I should just try one first and see if I like the formula before I buy 3 of them. So here goes. Sorry, one of my lights on this side stopped working, so it's going to be a little bit shadowy on this side of my face, but we're almost to the end of the video, so I figured it wouldn't be too bothersome for you to see the lighting a little bit darker. Maybe it's actually helpful so you can see the truer tones of everything on my face. I feel like this Vive lipstick actually pairs really well with the eye look and the eyeshadow palette. This and the Luxuriously Lucent are pretty similar. I would say, if anything, the Vive feels a little bit thicker on my lips. The Luxuriously Lucent felt like practically nothing. Like, I don't even know what really to compare it to because it's a lot lighter than most lip balms I have. But it's sort of like a lip balm texture. So very, very light, whereas the Vive one feels more like it's kind of thick on my lips in a nice hydrating cocooning kind of way, if that makes any sense. I really love this color. I feel like it's a little bit vampy, a little bit 90s, but it still would be wearable for a lot of different eye looks. I feel like this look kind of came together at the last minute and I'm really, really loving how it's looking. So you'll have to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Which of these products is the most exciting to you? Which would you like to see me use again in future videos? Do you have any products from Lisa Eldridge or from Vive or from Charlotte Tilbury that you love? Or from XX Revolution as well? I was very pleasantly surprised by the quality of that eyeshadow palette. Also, if you live in the UK, I would love to know because you are very lucky. I absolutely love it there. It's beautiful. And you'll have to let us know your favorite spots to shop for makeup for anyone who might be traveling to the UK soon. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you will stick around and subscribe so you don't miss my next upload. Thank you for bearing with me and the lighting situation towards the end here. And I hope you're having a really great day wherever you are and whatever you're up to. I will see you in my next one. Bye!